Okay, so if I ask you to picture a really successful, wealthy American, what's the first image that comes to mind?
Right.
Is it like the huge mansion, the private jet, or maybe that, personalized license plate on a brand new six-figure luxury sports car?
Hmm. We see it everywhere.
We do. We're just bombarded with this image of like high gloss, high consumption success. But what if I told you that based on 2 decades of really rigorous research, that popular image is, well, almost entirely wrong?
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are tearing down that myth of the flashy millionaire.
Yeah.
And our mission is simple. We're going to cut through all the noise from aspirational media and really extract the core philosophy, the habits of actual wealth accumulators. And some of these habits are, frankly, surprisingly extreme.
And it all comes from this foundational work analyzing their behavior.
It does. We're here to help you understand that wealth is so often built by subtraction, not by addition.
And just to anchor our discussion, we should probably have a
A
baseline.
clear definition, yeah.
According to the research we're pulling from, a millionaire is simply defined as someone with a net worth of $1 million or more. And as we're about to find out, hitting that number has very little to do with high visibility or what brand of suit you wear.
Exactly. I mean, when we really look at the financial philosophy of these wealth builders, the whole struggle to become wealthy can be understood with a really simple sports metaphor.
Which is,
Offense versus defense.
I think this framing is just so key because as a society, we are completely obsessed with offense.
Completely.
The offense is your income, right? The high salary, the big bonus, the successful startup. It's what you earn, and we celebrate high earners constantly.
But the research makes it absolutely clear. The game is won or lost on the defense.
So what's defense?
Defense is your ability to keep and to grow what you earn. It means your spending habits, rigorous budgeting, and this is crucial, extreme frugality in many cases.
So the big lesson is that most millionaires are masters of defense.
Absolute masters. They prioritize accumulating assets
Hmm.
over displaying status or, maintaining some kind of high consumption lifestyle.
Which means if you're only focused on offense, just chasing a bigger paycheck, but you have zero defense, you might be earning a lot, but that money is just flying out the door.
Instantly.
And this leads us to what I think is the biggest aha moment from the sources. Classifying people not by what they earn, but by their financial efficiency.
Yes. The authors develop a specific formula to calculate an individual's expected net worth. And when you compare the reality to that expectation, people sort of fall into two profoundly different groups.
Pause in UAW.
PAWs and UAWs. The PAWs are the prodigious accumulators of wealth. These are the people whose actual net worth is at least twice what's expected for them.
They're amazing at turning income into actual lasting assets.
And then you have the UAWs, the under-accumulators of wealth. These are the folks whose net worth is half or even less than what's expected for them. And here's the real kicker. UAWs often include very high-income earners. I'm talking great offense players. But their consumption is so high, they just struggle to build any real capital.
Okay, so let's pause on that formula for a second because you asked for the specifics. The expected net worth is calculated like this. Your age multiplied by your pre-tax annual income, and then you divide all of that by 10.
It's a really simple benchmark.
It is, but it immediately shows you that disconnect between earning potential and actual wealth.
Think about it this way. Let's take a 40-year-old manager, high
Yeah.
level, earns $200,000 a year.
Okay.
Their expected net worth should be $800,000. But if they only have $400,000 saved up, they're a UAW. They're losing the wealth game despite a fantastic income. They feel successful, but they're financially fragile.
But then you have, say, a 40-year-old who runs some obscure industrial supply company. Maybe they only earn $150,000 a year, but they've accumulated $1.2 million.
That person's a paw.
Exactly. They are a paw. They don't look flashy, but they have massively outperformed their potential because they know how to play defense.
That distinction just makes it so clear. High income only determines your potential. Discipline determines your reality. And what's fascinating is that these paws, they intentionally subvert the whole consumer culture narrative.
How so?
They get that accumulating wealth requires a totally different mindset than the one society tells you is success. It requires discipline.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Let's get into how they actually do it. If income isn't the main driver, what are the specific, actionable behaviors that define a paw?
The research points to 7 common denominators that pretty much all self-made millionaires share.
Okay.
And we can group the first 3 as like the essential internal habits.
Mm.
They're all rooted in discipline and planning. And number 1 is just foundational. They live below their means.
And we're not just talking about having some savings.
No, it's being deeply, almost aggressively frugal. They spend way less than they earn, and they actively, meticulously avoid that trap of lifestyle creep.
And that frugality, it isn't just an accident. It's paired with the second denominator, which is resource efficiency.
Yes, and this is where you see the millionaire mindset applied not just to money, but to their time and energy, too.
That's the crucial part.
It is. The sources note a huge difference in how PAWs use their time. They spend way more time planning their investments, researching low-cost funds, forecasting their financial future, than they do shopping for luxury goods.
Right. Contrast that with the UAW, who might spend a whole weekend trying to track down the latest status car or planning some huge unnecessary home renovation.
The PAW uses time to create future income. The UAW uses time to facilitate current consumption. It's a fundamental difference.
And that efficiency, it flows right into the third habit, which is really about their motivation. They value financial independence and security far more than they value showing off a high social status.
That is the whole game. They want the freedom that comes from a high net worth, not the fleeting praise that comes from a high spending pattern.
That's why you read those stories in the research about millionaires clipping coupons or buying generic brands.
Exactly. They are not trying to impress anyone. For them, the psychological payoff of knowing their future is secure just. It vastly outweighs any emotional kick from status signaling. They're playing the long game.
So if those are the internal habits, that disciplined foundation, what did the research find about their jobs and how they raise their families? The fourth trait points to career choice, niche market savvy.
Yes, they are excellent at spotting and targeting market opportunities, but these opportunities are often in, dull businesses.
Not glamorous.
Not glamorous at all, but highly profitable.
Right.
We're talking about things like specialized mobile welding, commercial uniform rentals, pest control services, things like that.
So they don't chase the sexy tech startups.
No, they chase consistent cash flow in overlooked markets. And related to that is number 5, choosing the right occupation. They often pick fields where they can be self-employed, running those dull but profitable businesses, or working in stable, high-demand fields where their discipline really translates directly into wealth. They control their own earning and their expenses.
And the last two traits, 6 and 7, they're about family support and legacy, which is critical.
So critical. And number 6 is profound. No outpatient care. Meaning they did not receive significant, regular financial help or big inheritances or huge cash gifts from their parents early on. They built it themselves from the ground up.
Which flows right into number 7, self-sufficient kids.
Yep. The millionaires make sure that their own adult children are economically independent. They actively taught them the value of money, of labor, of responsibility.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, tying back to that outpatient care idea.
It does. The research actually coined a term for it, economic outpatient care, or EOC.
EOC. So that's the continuous flow of money from wealthy parents to their adult children.
Precisely. We're talking about money to cover mortgage payments, expensive private school for the grandkids, luxury vacations every year, things like that.
It's things they can't afford on their own.
Exactly. And the central startling finding is the deep irony of EOC. The more money adult children get from their parents, the less wealth they typically accumulate on their own.
That seems so counterintuitive. Shouldn't a huge financial head start be a massive advantage? Why would a safety net actually hurt long-term wealth?
Because EOC enables a lifestyle of what the authors call hyperconsumption.
Okay.
The person receiving the money never develops the financial defense needed to build wealth. They can't, because their high consumption lifestyle is constantly being subsidized. They become dependent on that external money to support a UAW lifestyle, even if they have a good income themselves.
So that safety net, it actually prevents them from learning those foundational habits we talked about.
It absolutely does.
Living below your means, resource efficiency, valuing independence. If mom and dad always cover the shortfall, you never learn how to budget.
You never learn. And you see this trap of status-driven spending most clearly with the ultimate status symbol, the car. The research spends a lot of time on this.
Now, what did they find?
That the average millionaire does not drive a current model luxury car. They consciously avoid that massive financial hit of depreciation.
Which is a total wealth killer.
A huge wealth killer. Instead, most of these millionaires are driving reliable 2 to 3-year-old domestic or foreign cars. Fords, Toyotas, Hondas. They're buying function and reliability.
They see a car as a tool to get from point A to B.
Purely as a tool, not as an extension of their social status or their identity. And that single disciplined decision frees up hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime that can be put into compounding assets.
And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, it circles right back to the UAWs, especially the ones in those high-status, high-income professions.
The doctors, the lawyers, the executives.
Yes. They often feel this intense pressure to spend their high income just to look the part that their job seems to demand.
That pressure is like a social tax. They have to drive the high-end Mercedes, join the expensive country club, live in the pricey neighborhood, all because they feel their professional credibility depends on this illusion of financial success.
But that illusion requires constant, high-level spending.
Which ensures they remain UAWs. They are trapped by the expectations of their peer group.
And that expectation is the very thing that prevents them from becoming paws. The need to maintain status just outweighs the desire for real financial freedom.
It's the constant battle of defense against offense. And the UAWs often lose because they choose consumption and status signaling over conservation and compounding.
So let's wrap this up with the core takeaways for you listening to this deep dive. First and foremost, the sources are crystal clear. Wealth is defined by what you accumulate in assets, not what you spend.
Second, budgeting isn't optional. It's foundational. The sources found that most paws know exactly how much they spend on food, clothing, utilities every single year. They track their spending religiously.
Third, this is actually achievable. Something like 80% of American millionaires are first-generation affluent. They didn't inherit it. They built it, and they saved it through discipline, not luck.
And finally, that critical insight. High status does not equal high net worth. In fact, the pressure to maintain that high status facade is often the biggest financial leak for high-income earners.
The battle for wealth is won on the defense.
On the defense, through frugality, planning, and discipline, not necessarily on the offense of a high income.
And if the research is right, and the biggest barrier to building wealth is that pressure to look the part, well, then we have to think about what that means for our own daily habits.
Which raises an important question you should consider. If the pressure to maintain professional or social status is the biggest hurdle to accumulating wealth, what seemingly small, everyday purchase are you currently making purely for that social status? And what compounding wealth would you build if you cut it out completely?